My
Ooh,
heart
Volocouch.
surrounds
Long story short,
like a waterfall. Long story short,
we're slowly improving the studio. We're
welcome
looking for
back.
chairs.
We should probably introduce. Welcome back to your favorite podcast, A Couple Pints Pod. This week we have my dank GF
Is that
Olivia
my official title?
on the pod. Well, that's what I refer to you as.
You're the ultimate.
Okay, I'll take that. That's fair.
I mean, you're pretty dank. You're also my GF. Is there a different name you would rather I call you?
No, it's fine. Actually, that's perfectly
That
fine.
mic is hold it back a little. If your lips,
Yeah, like that.
just hold it back a little bit. Well, I said the levels are set. You could hold it like a little.
Here.
that-
Okay. I'm just nervous now after holding Colin's mic.
I'm in the middle. I'm here, right between you two.
Anyway, I guess we'll
Anyway.
get. Should we get going? Yeah, I guess we'll get going. This week, Olivia is joining us in hopes of shedding light on the conspiracy that is art.
Or like the art world.
The art world, the sale of art, modern art, fucking art.
I think a fair bit of time in like going to art school and having painting friends and dealing with the art world in
Mike's way too close to your Facebook. Yeah.
fundraising that I had heard this in passing, but hadn't really ever like kind of thought about it or delved into it. And then I saw a video and I sent it to a friend who's a painter, and he was like, "Oh no, yeah, that's totally a thing."
So overall, what are we talking about today?
I think it would be hard to sum up to words in overall, but we're talking about like the general conspiracy that is the modern art world in regards to
Not even modern art, just to me it's the art world.
I think that's a fair statement to make, but at the same time, like,
because it's not strictly limited to modern art.
No, I mean modern art in the sense of like current 21st century.
Like you're not going to
paintings.
use like the Mona Lisa to do what we're about to talk about.
Yes, I mean you could.
So what can you introduce us, or do you want me to half-ass introduce us, or should Colin it? What
you introduce us?
Okay. So this week we're going to discuss the conspiracies behind buying and trading art pieces in terms of laundering money, right? Yeah. And you're the brain behind, you're the one who suggested we do this. That's why you're here. Welcome to the podcast. So happy to have you. This is my dank GF Olivia, by the way. If I didn't say that, which I did. But we're trying to kind of get to the bottom of the dark web, if you will, of modern art trade.
You mean the dark web of art?
Yeah, I think that's actually a fair statement to make. Because obviously, like,
I think that was a good summary.
Yeah, no, there's like legal art trade, like the MFA trades with the Met, and there are private dealers that buy and auction at Sotheby's with legal trading money based on what would be estimated prices of a Van Gogh or
and it's all good and well.
But that being said,
say it. Tell us. Okay. School us.
What's innately different about paintings or photography whenever it comes to like a visual medium that you would see in a museum? So even something that you would see in the MoMA that would be more abstract,
or like a celebrity's house.
I don't know if it's up to a celebrity's house. Like that's definitely a form of laundering, but I don't know if it would qualify under this particular instance. I mean, if you were talking about like,
stop covering.
If you were talking about the person who was like making, oh God, I'm forgetting his name now.
Just right here. What?
I unplug mine and just
direct it into the computer.
Because even when I'm talking right now, I got nothing.
Yeah, it's not picking them up.
Yeah.
Do you want to just start back off from the intro so it doesn't look weird on video?
No.
We'll just start.
That's not us.
No, we'll just let's do a shitty cut.
Okay. Shitty cut.
So we were talking about
the basic, the world of real art versus, I guess.
I said celebrities. You said no. Money laundering art. How is art used for, let's start there. How is art used for money laundering? Break that down to us.
Okay, so there's one real difference in like fine art that you don't see in other art forms, like money in regards to art forms like fashion or filmmaking or graphic design has like a quantifiable rate. You pay someone X amount of money for X amount of hours for X amount of work based on their skill set, their design set, all those things. And so there's a very easy kind of like commodified understanding of how much something is worth for most art forms.
But that's also in terms of getting like a specific piece.
Yes. So, but not always. Like the world of digital art has definitely changed that, well,
not digital, physical.
Yeah, but even like, would you consider like a physical film the same property as a physical piece of art? So like, that's a philosophy that I don't really want to go into in this particular instance.
No, film. Okay. Yeah. Continue.
But what makes painting and like visual art forms, like something like you see at the moment, like blobs of glue dripping off the ground to the painting, like whatever's considered art.
Or
what
like,
makes it so different.
Or like Jackson Pollock.
Yes.
Jackson Pollock.
Which I wanted to do to the studio walls, but you wouldn't let me because it would have been messy.
It would have been, I mean, there's ways to do it. We'll talk about it. But I think what makes painting and visual art forms so different in what you see in a museum is there's really no quantifiable way to say this piece of art is worth this much money. And you know, like a critic's opinion is a critic's opinion. Colin could be an art critic tomorrow if he started claiming he was and people started listening to him. And so what's important in that regard is that like,
yeah, you could.
The most you can really,
that's the thing with art is like, if we bring this to an auction and we're like, hey,
bid,
we think this is
$500. This is worth $5 bajillion.
Who's to dispute it? Who's to dispute why?
Someone there is saying, and this is where the true topic comes in. Someone there is saying,
yes,
hold on, I have $5 bajillion in drug money.
Oh,
so let me buy this
to make it look
as
legal.
A write-off, and then you get that $5 bajillion back.
Yes, and like
that's the conspiracy behind art.
That's the conspiracy behind art, is that there is no finite way to quantify the pricing of it the way that you would be able to say price a car, price a house, or price clothing or furniture
or anything.
When you insure like artwork, you generally insure it for $1 million upwards because there's not a quantifiable way to say that one canvas is worth more than another. The only thing that you can really price out in artwork is like, oh, the artist, the canvas was $600 and the artist spent X amount of years learning how to do this technique. So maybe he could say that's $1,000 to $2,000, $3,000 worth of work, but that's just in materials and expertise alone. So you got to charge more than that. And then you add clout to it. So the reality is you can charge anything for any piece of art.
What about
that's
that
also
physical guitar though?
I mean,
I was about to say that, but that's why that guitar is so expensive and that ukulele is so expensive. And these art pieces I found for free, but I'm sure if I tried to sell them are so expensive. That specifically
is a certain
like
type of guitar.
Is like buying a pair of Ray-Bans.
Like your last pair of that style.
No,
of
but you're paying for the Les Paul name. You're also paying for the Gibson Epiphone name. And then Gibson, here's where it relates, went on and said, this is special edition for whatever reason. And just by saying that, outside of paying for the name and paying for the brand, like the designer and the brand, they said, for some reason, this is worth more than our Sunburst Les Gibson.
Yeah.
We'll put a picture here over Colin.
Hi-ya.
Well, actually, I think the guitar is a really good middle ground of example for this because
but it's also the same ground.
No,
because you can say this matte black guitar is worth more than one that's picture over Colin.
Yeah. But at the same time, the real difference is like, I mean, it's more
guitars are a weird world though.
Yeah, guitars and actually instruments live in
what name is behind it, and it's also very
similar to art in that regard.
But it's more similar. Who builds them? Why in the world can one random ass person be like, this piece is subjective to how I feel.
Well, Colin, isn't that the same for like if
Well,
someone
in
was to
terms
say
of art,
like
I don't know.
I like a Van Gogh or a Da Vinci versus
Yeah, but Van Gogh is well known.
Yeah, but that's so is
but so is Les Paul.
Yeah, exactly. So what about those random ass people who make their life living off a random piece of art that some
that's the
well-off person sees and goes, yes, it makes me remember something from my childhood.
Well, see,
Well, no, that's the actual-
for me, that's the conspiracy, and that's just blatant money laundering.
No, so like I mean, yes and no. So part of it is blatant money laundering, yes, and that's obviously what we're going to get into in the actual part of the episode. But the other part of it is fascinating enough. Like, no, I mean, of course we're in the episode. I just mean more of the like in the non-conspiracy side of things. It is art is fully subjective. What you like is something, but like,
see, that makes me wonder, because if a shitty piece of art is staring me at the face and I go, that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And the person who drew it was like, screw you, asshole.
Or everyone's like, no,
$10,000.
Well, no, yeah. Or everyone's going, no, that's so-and-so. He's a genius.
Yeah, like who the fuck are you to tell me that he put a piece of ink on a piece of paper? That's not $10,000.
But Colin,
also,
like at its
could-
purest form, that's what art's supposed to be about. Is like, you know, but like either you like
But
it or
you
you
could-
don't. Music, either you like it or you don't. Film, either you like it or you don't. Like,
But I
that's
feel like
what it
like
is.
with art, it's more mob mentality in the
Yes.
sense of one important person is like, hey, this is sick. And then
Well-
everyone that supports that person is like, yo, this is sick.
Well,
and
I
then,
agree.
And then Colin's at home going like,
fuck this.
no,
The
what the
fuck are
is
you
this?
doing?
Well,
Whether it's in a museum or online or wherever you see it,
Yes.
I feel like every big piece of art, aside from the artists who have like tragic ass backstories, which obviously builds the brand as well, but like most of the shit you see in an art museum is mediocre at best. And then someone famous was like, oh no, this is art. And
I
then
mean, to
a
an
mob
extent-
gathers behind them. And then someone like me shows up and I'm like, well, I don't get it, but it is beautiful.
It is,
I guess.
You know, everyone says the polish. I mean, I think what you guys are really talking about in an art world kind of thing is not really art in the sense that the majority of art has been created in for the majority of human history. We're really talking about art post Warhol, post, go for it. Post
Well,
20th century.
Is that art?
Yeah.
this, for example.
Can I just finish real
Yeah,
quick?
because now I have an idea.
But like my point is like what you guys are really talking about in the mob mentality and the way that like, oh, someone famous likes this or someone likes this, and all of a sudden everyone loves it. Like, okay, so Dua Lipa wears Balenciaga and Mugler on her tour, and all of a sudden that influences everything. Or like she's a huge partnership with Versace, so her fans of Versace. So the way that Versace styling clothing trickles down to everything, of course. But I think the biggest example would be Supreme.
Oh,
Dude, fuck Supreme though.
No, but like look at that. So like at its heart, Supreme is a sportswear company that prints its logo on something.
It's a skate company.
It's a skate company.
Box logo hoodies.
It's owned by, like-
Hoodies and brothers
Yeah.
that understand that buzzing like Woody, so I get it for free or whatever. Tyler the creator.
It's owned by this middle-aged white dude. It's a surf skate company that's manufactured, putting their brand on things.
Yeah.
But what they've managed to do is the same thing that Warhol managed to do. It's the same thing that many artists have managed to do is they've gotten sponsorship or brands or celebrity endorsements that the Supreme brand is not just tied to Supreme. It's tied to Cardi B. It's tied to the Kardashians. It's tied to these things that involve wealth, that invoke money.
But that's what
And
I'm
so
saying.
With
If
art,
tomorrow Kanye was like, hey, this painting right here is fucking sick, then all
But
of a
he
sudden,
has.
then all of a sudden we're worth something.
but he has because
But
like
as of right now, we're not worth shit.
yeah, but like he has with like Balenciaga, him and Kim have basically worn that extensively throughout their divorce. And whether
You're
you
only
want,
further proving my point.
but yeah, that's my point. It's just like they were in a downfall, and then all of a
outside
sudden he's partnershiping with them, and they're branding it. But then you want to apply that same philosophy to,
But that's exactly
Art.
what I'm saying.
and that's where the difference between like wearing clothing or something like this that costs money, or like something like this that is a brand, or something like this that is the brand that costs money, versus art in a money laundering aspect is a little bit different, because you can't quantifiably put money on a painting versus on a market value.
But if Drake wore this shirt
Or
out
this
to
shirt.
the V or
We're
this
wearing
shirt
ugly shirts.
out to the VMA,
I bought
Yes,
them-
there would be
I
some
bought
level
them
of
at-
clout. And
I bought them at Marshall's for $5 a piece.
he could sell this after signing it because
Not
it would
even
become a
signing
piece
it.
of art.
If Drake
mean,
just said, go to the ovo.store.com and this shirt was on it, this would be a
Yes.
$50 shirt as opposed to $5.
Yes, but I don't want to get too much
But that's the
into
conspiracy behind art.
yes, but that's why
You
I
set
don't want
the
to get
price.
too much into art overall because art encompasses so many different forms and different types. And I really do think that what we're particularly talking about in this regard is about the conspiracy of using fine art
Okay.
to launder money.
Well,
And-
that is what we started off.
Yes.
And, me
And so, like-
Colin got really mad.
You guys get really mad, but I think what we're talking about is integrally important to like the value of art, and that's what makes this argument so particularly interesting.
Now, the Grateful Dead
Yeah, that's still not fine art, Colin.
are,
No, that's not.
but
No.
let's say down the line.
No, because no, like but here's the thing. So James,
I
for
was
those of
gonna-
you who can't see, is James is the Grateful Dead poster
I
on
was
the
gonna
opposite side of
relate
the
it
wall,
back to the Les Paul.
which is also related to Les Paul. These are items based on value, based on memorabilia, based on fan involvement, based on a certain artist used this guitar, so it has certain.
That grow down the line and be subjective.
Yes, but that's the thing is those grow down the line based on subjectivity, based on an overall price point of a certain person, aka the Grateful Dead, aka the
Okay.
Beatles, or people who use Les Paul. When it comes to
Well,
paintings,
AKA Les Paul.
yeah, when it comes to paintings, when it comes to people who have used like a canvas, I almost want to go get the painting in the hallway to like show.
Stupid.
It's too fucking big, but you can't.
But
Art
also the
isn't
painting,
quantifiable in a money way in the sense that somebody follows it or someone's opposite. Like, yes, maybe you become this amazing painter that has a following and this and that. But when it comes down to the conspiracy of using artwork to launder money, the importance of the painter as a person has no monetary importance because like the IRS doesn't give a shit if you buy a Pollock painting versus if I bought a Colin fucking Diedrichson painting, and it's 10,000 either way. You're as long as you're legally declaring the money, they don't care.
Oh, so that's
So yeah, like what you're trying to get into is more of like the fan value of something.
Yeah.
Like if you sell a piece of Elvis's clothing that he wore versus the same piece of clothing from the 50s that's exactly the same except Elvis didn't wear, it probably would, the one that Elvis wore is going to go for more money because he wore it and there's a fan value. I'm talking about if you are a criminal, whether it's say drugs or sex trade or you are stealing shipping containers, whatever it is, if you're trying to launder money.
Or if you're a high school chemistry teacher with a handicapped son. and
Oh,
wizard who
yeah.
decides
I
to
mean,
cook
to even
math.
bring it more modern, like if you are
I
someone
am
trying to
the
launder your
danger.
Bitcoin or your
The one who
cryptocurrency,
knocks.
I think
who knocks.
Sorry.
artwork is an incredibly easy
Science,
way.
bitch. What?
Leaderbug.
Art,
No, that's
especially
so
fine
easy.
art, is a
That is art, though.
incredibly
That is art.
Sorry. What?
nothing. Artwork is an incredibly easy way to launder money because there's no price
Yeah.
point of market value. A car is worth, like, say, you
What's
have
the
a
name of
Jeep.
car? A Tesla. The basic model Tesla is $32,000.
Exactly.
I
It's
wipe
market
my
value,
ass with
non-disputable. That's how much the
Well,
price
once we sell
cost.
this for
Hey,
2 million, we can wipe our ass with the price of a Tesla. But that's why art is different from the price.
well,
of car.
exactly, because if you
There's
look
a
at a
set
Tesla,
price,
yeah, because it's based
but
on the
we
materials
set-
they use,
But we
set
set
the
that
price of artwork, and you set the price of the artist's intuition and the process and all these things.
I know.
And so when you're
we're so deep and
Trying
so
to,
just in tune with everything.
so when you're trying,
You also painted most of that.
Yeah.
Don't get
So,
upset that we're gonna sell that.
Okay. But for example, if I were to literally just shed some blood on a canvas with that knife,
yeah, I mean, there's plenty
and
of
I
artists
were
that
to
paint
be
with
a
blood.
famous person,
We
may
need
it
to
be
really-
an artist or a movie or
He still doesn't get it. I feel like I'm making valid points.
he's
Colin,
making good
I
points.
think what you're
But
really,
if it's subjective,
But Colin has to ask the real
but
question.
if it's subjective, and I am someone of fame and power,
Not even. if someone
you're gonna have your
wants,
influence on it, but like my point is like,
but if here's the question that I cut him off that I think I'm gonna make him get to. If he does that and someone of fame and power says, "Oh, I want this," he has all the right in the world to be like, "Oh, give me $3 million."
Yes.
And that's like the more practical, like you buy a piece of art or you buy an NFT.
But that ties into the whole conspiracy.
I'm not talking about, you're still really fixated on like if
a famous person draws this, or
But even a Joe Schmo could do it if they get picked up.
Exactly, but like it's not about.
So art is fake in my mind.
Art is fake, and all things are
That's
fake.
the
The
point
value
we're getting
behind
at.
90% of society is fake. We're not talking about that.
Uh,
Well, it's just like how silence is fake.
What you're kind of fixated
Uh-huh.
on is
It's a concept. But this
Yeah,
concept specifically can
Do you
set
mind
up.
if
Continue.
So my point is like
Oopsie
Colin is
daisy.
really fixated on like if you're seeing art's value in a famous person integral way, which is true. If you're like a pure artist and like fucking Chance the Rapper buys your shit and all of a sudden 1 million of his fans are loving your shit, great, you're making money.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the ability to launder money. It doesn't matter if Kanye West loves it or who likes it. It's the ability to say like, okay, so I'm a drug lord, right?
But wouldn't you need someone with
No,
enough
because-
wealth
no.
to purchase your
Well,
item?
yeah, but like the drug dealer can too. So like my point is like if you're at the point where you're just trying to, let's say, I'm like some upper lord drug dealer empire running motherfucking shit, you know? Like
Mhm.
I got it in lock. I got all these people. I got to pay them. I owe you 10 grand,
Yes.
but you're like, I need this shit to be on paper because I'm trying to buy a mortgage. I got a girlfriend. I'm trying to provide for my family. I got a baby mama. Like, I'm trying-
kids, man.
Yeah, I got kids, man. Like, what if you're trying to like make shit work? And like, I respect that. And like, just because I'm like some illegal running drug boss doesn't mean that I don't want you to have like a fucking fulfilling life. Like, I want you to have a family. I want you to have these things. And I can find an ability to make it look like I'm legally paying you 10 grand on paper. Then what you can do
Okay.
is your bitch ass goes to Target. You buy a $10 canvas, right?
$10 campus.
I know from
I
making
on-
this, canvases are in $10.
I know, but
You buy a $40.
Yeah, you buy a $40 canvas.
Okay.
So you go to Target, you buy that. I gotta pay you the 10 grand, right?
Yes.
So
I'm triggered by the price.
I'm
art
trying to
cost.
give you the 10 grand that I owe you illegally in drug sales. But what I can do on a tax paper say is Colin sold me this painting.
Yes.
Don't
You bought for like $40, right? Colin sold me this painting, but I'm paying him 10 grand for it because that's what he's appreciated it
That's
at.
what he said it's worth.
He said it's worth.
Okay.
So I'm
He
paying him
said
10
for
grand.
the betterment
Now,
of
I've
the couple
taken-
blind spot shithole studio, this
Yes.
painting's worth 10 G's.
And so, yeah, you get to pocket that 10 G's that you made illegally, but now on tax paperwork,
for like selling coke or something.
on legal paperwork, on an accounting level that the IRS can track,
like
it
Mexican
looks like
Coca-Cola.
you have done something legal because art has no appreciation. Art has no value. Who's to say something's worth $5,000, worth is $5, worth is $5 million?
Then if it's only subjective in the way that people are held back by no one finding their shit, then like Couple Pints Pod, if they advertise themselves well enough and make enough reels and make enough posts and make enough episodes and say enough different companies in their random ad reads, if we somehow get found by the certain person who's wealthy enough to make it happen, we're able to sell our art automatically.
Yeah, but like, yes, but that would be like a random chance that you just happen to be making shitty art to launder money that someone likes.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking more about like the fact that you can literally use the entire fine art industry to launder money illegally.
So to be in the fine art industry,
It would just be
you
lucky.
have to be
No,
lucky, or like you said, or would you have to be skillful to the point where you've done enough shit where enough people know you?
well, okay. So the thing is like those are very interesting questions because I think it really depends on your outcome. Like if you're a painter and your goal is really just to paint and make.
Shouts out Will. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, shouts out Will
Will!
Crutchfield. You guys should totally check out his artwork. He is at
He,
_ cloned with a K
He paints
at
giant cocks.
Instagram. He does not.
The backpacker
No, he
of
doesn't.
conspiracies for a couple pints.
Yeah, he actually.
But my
makes his
point is that
podcast.
like, if you're an actual artist, then yes, obviously your goal is to be picked up by the fine arts community and find an investor that loves you and this and that. And if you're a studio that's making and signing fine artists that you want to be making money off of, then of course your goal is to be found by artists. But if you're just using the ability to use the fluctuation of market price art to launder money in an illegal drug or whatever scheme, then why would you want anyone to notice you? You try to keep that shit under lock, motherfucker. You don't want people looking at that shit. It doesn't matter anyway.
So would that make art a black market item?
Yes and no, because it depends on the art and it depends on the situation.
So that's bullshit. Because if it depends on the item and depends on the person, whether or not you're selling or giving your piece of art away for that lump sum of money, you're a part of the black market deal or shady deal.
But that's the whole point.
Oh, excuse me.
Bless you.
And like,
Either way, you're
Excuse me.
profiting. Liv, hold the mic up.
and like, well, that's the thing is like, I think obviously, like, if you're a painter and you want to profit on that shit, then like, good on you. Someone finds you and they love you and they want to give you money, and then you're making money off of it, and you don't have to do it in an illegal aspect.
But you have
But
to
if
get
you-
there by in a legal aspect.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Like, not necessarily. You don't have to. I'm just saying that you can use
launder
fine art
money.
as a way to launder money. You don't have
Okay,
to
so
launder
you
money to do
bust your
fine art.
ass. You bust your ass and you get that piece. You're an
mean-
artiste now.
No.
So now
Hold on,
anything
I
you
mean-
make is like,
No.
oh, this is arbitrary
I
to
mean,
how I feel.
it could be. It could be.
Because of that one piece, are you able to be
Well, then no.
Hmm.
See, now also you're talking like
this
Every single
of my
situ-
signature?
every
is
single
$30,000.
situation, but you're talking like every single situation is how this works. That's not how that works. What we're saying is whether you're huge or not, someone looks at your art, and specifically the conspiracy we're talking about here is you owe someone money and they say, how can both of us profit? Oh, paint a shitty logo,
Mhm.
sell it to me for the amount of money that you owe me. You write it off and I get the money.
Okay, so here I found a really good description of it. I'm gonna just read it out for some general context.
Hold the mic closer to your face before you start.
This is so interesting.
Well, that's the thing is like art is such a subjective thing, so you can use it in this aspect to sell money, but to kind of get into more of
The urge to kiss Colin on the cheek is real. Get to your point.
what?
We had to throw that little couple pines twist and
Okay,
Shake it
so
off.
this article is called "How
I'm about to
Money
text
Laundering
Taylor.
Works
Here, dude.
in the Art World," and it's on artandobjects.com.
So it's official.
art what?
Artandobjects.com.
I thought you said art and objects. I was like, oh.
Okay, so they say works of art have often been identified and sometimes even romanticized as an ideal way for racketeers to launder money. There's a thread of logic here. The art world typically accumulates those who want anonymously to buy high dollar paintings. And on top of that, the industry allows for large cash deals. For those looking to launder money, it's difficult to conjure up more than an attractive set of circumstances in those. Circumcision in those.
You got to cut a lot of skin off a lot of dicks to make it in the art world.
Yeah, you do.
I shouldn't like
We got a
bit
knife right there.
for you.
So they say, so how does one launder money in the art world? And the Globe and Mail reports that some of the cases that are very straightforward. Let's suppose that somebody has $10 million on hand. They could buy Picasso in auction, say Geneva, and have the painting immediately moved to storage at a free port, quote unquote, or a high security storage space near the airport. The painting could then be anonymously sold without ever moving an inch, and the new buyer would have retrieved it from the same free point. Suddenly, the original buyer turned seller has money what is considered a legitimate business deal.
What?
And then, according
what
to The
we've been
Economist, in 2013, they estimated the Geneva Free Point might hold over $100 billion worth of U.S. art tucked away in a space that also functions as a tax haven. Other examples are more complicated. For example, a story about Bequat's art cannibal painting is estimated to be over $8 million. The work was smuggled into the U.S. by convicted Brazilian money launderer and former banker Edmund C. Figueira. The painting has come to the U.S. from Brazil via the Netherlands with false shipping invoices stating the contents of the shipment were only $100. It's worth over $8 million. Presumably, he was on his way to sell the painting in the U.S. There's even cases of international terrorism where bands like ISIS have been noted for their laundering of cultural antiquities.
Gotta believe that.
Whereas as the area of ISIS controlled, which is true, has been taken over by government-backed forces. Some of the most, just on a side note, some of the most ancient and like important artifacts and architecture to the Iraqi and Afghanistani and Iranian people have been destroyed by ISIS forces. And so they're saying the process begins with ISIS affiliated jihadists overseeing local digging groups in Iraq and Syria. When the object value is found, the digger sells it to ISIS officials at a discounted price. The goods are then smuggled into independent middlemen who smuggle them out of country, even to border countries like Lebanon and Turkey. Eventually, the goods make their way to warehouses in Europe, where essentially they wait a Western buyer. Essentially the process but like the money is still going back to ISIS at the end of the day.
So why in the world are people saying that the pure possibility that the current president's son may have used quote unquote art in order to launder so much goddamn money that no one can account for it?
Yeah, but I also think like the whole, I don't even want to get into the whole Hunter Biden thing in regards to this, because I think so much of that story has been manipulated by.
How can you say it's false?
Oh, I'm not saying it's false. I'm just saying that, like,
not you, just the people who say it's false.
Oh, I'm just saying, I think in regards to that particular topic, it's been so saturated by media, false media, podcasts, et cetera, that it's really hard to say what's way up, not or the other.
The world you think is real is so loopholed that you don't understand.
Okay, so like,
isn't that the point of this podcast?
Yes. Yes.
So this is a New York Times one, and it's titled "As Money Launderers, the U.S. Looks at Lifting the Veil on Art Sales."
I have to pee so soon. Art, bitch.
So anyway, art's a
Give me my mic back, you could.
Never.
Art's a load of fucking
Art is a load of subjective crap.
freaking horse crap.
I mean, like,
It's literally
That's
putting
true,
a
not
makeup
true.
on a pig and calling it pretty.
well, that's you, Colin.
No, I mean it.
That is
I,
me.
I agree.
I mean,
That guitar is putting makeup on a pig and making
But that
it look
is such
pretty.
a sexy guitar, though.
because
The matte black,
that's like
crispy.
your-
whoa, because you're taught it's a sexy guitar.
yeah.
Because
Shouts out last
usually it
episode.
tells me that's a beautiful matte black.
But what if it was a different color?
Then it'd be if it was matte or if it
Because
was.
I love the sunburst. We'll put a picture here.
Yeah. It's safe to say.
What?
This has been.
Couple pine spot.
It's safe to say JMax about to have a stroke.
What?
Want to do a few more takes? That was weird as shit.
Yeah. Okay.
He seems so stalled.
Your turn.
What?
This has been. No.
Out loud.
His turn. No. Your turn.
This has been.
No. Redo it. This has been every fucking week.
This has been.
A couple pine spot.
It's safe to say.
Stick a canvas in my butt and call me Picasso, biatch.
We're out.
We're fucking out. Adios, amigos. Everyone watching owes me 12 grand. Bye.